Welcome to Smart Consulting Sourcing, your ultimate guide to mastering the art of utilizing, buying, and managing consulting. Whether you're a strategy executive, finance leader, or procurement professional, we've got the insights and strategies to transform your consulting engagements into powerful strategic assets. Hosted by Ellen, our expert, we dive deep into sourcing, buying, and managing consulting services to help you get the best value for your investment. Stay tuned and elevate your consulting game with Smart Consulting Sourcing, brought to you by Consulting Quest.
Hello and welcome back to Smart Consulting Sourcing, your definitive guide to mastering how to utilize, buy, and manage consulting services. I'm Helene, your host, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. So we're excited to announce that we've changed our format to a bi-weekly schedule, alternating between deep dive content episodes and engaging Q&As to keep our discussions both thought-provoking and interactive. So if you're passionate about transforming your consulting engagement into strategic assets, you are in the right place. Before we dive in, I want to encourage you to check out our previous episode. If you haven't already, you can find them on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. They're also available in our thought leadership section at consultingquest.com. So these episodes cover a wide range of topics that can help you elevate your consulting game. We'll love hearing from our listeners. So if you have any questions or topic you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please reach out to us via email at hcl@consultingquest.com. Your feedback and inquiries are what make this podcast truly engaging and valuable. Now let's talk about scoping and pricing. So for everyone involved in procuring consulting services, whether you are a strategy, a finance, or a procurement executive, grasping this overlap is crucial. It can be the difference between a project that delivers significant value and one that falls short of expectation. When we talk about optimizing the ROI of your consulting project, we're essentially discussing how to achieve the best value for your money. And this involves a delicate balance between two key levers, scoping and pricing. So scoping refers to the detailed outline of what you expect from the consulting engagement. It includes defining the project objectives, deliverables, timelines, and the specific expertise required. Essentially, scoping is about determining the value you expect to receive. And a well-defined scope ensures that everyone involved has a clear understanding of the project's goals and the desired outcome. So first off, the project objective. These are the clearly articulated goals that the project aims to achieve. Then we have the deliverable, these specific outputs that the consulting firm will provide. And finally, the timelines. It's a time frame within which the project will be completed. And then the expertise required, the specific skills and knowledge needed to achieve the project objective. A thorough and precise scope prevents misunderstanding, scope creep, and misalignment between your organization and the consulting firm. So it sets a solid foundation for what you expect to gain from this engagement. And this part is usually done by the users, aka the internal stakeholders. On the other hand, pricing involves setting the amount you're willing to pay for the consulting services. This isn't just about finding the lowest cost. It's about ensuring that the price reflects the value being delivered. So effective pricing strategy include using data and comparisons, market benchmarks to understand the standard pricing for similar services. Also, you can employ strategy to ensure that you get the best possible deal without compromising on quality. Then you have, performance-based fees or volume rebates that align cost with the success and duration of the project. Pricing, in essence, is how much you're ready to pay for the defined value. So it's crucial to align the price with the value outlined in the scope to ensure that you're not overpaying for under-delivered services or compromising on quality to save cost. And this is procurement stuff, right? But what is the kicker? Actually, these two aren't working together. On one side, you have the internal clients defining what they want from the project, and the other side, you have the procurement folks who negotiate the price. And that's why procurement is often only involved at the very last minute to negotiate on a scope already set. But let me tell you something. You won't negotiate much if you don't work on the scope. The best you can do with a last minute negotiation on a fixed scope and an already selected suppliers is at most 15%. Anything above that will include some descoping or destaffing, whether you realize it or not. So mark my words, the only way to get 30 to 40% in savings, which is pretty regular in a project like consulting cost, is to work on both scope and price at the same time. That's the secret sauce. So you need to collaborate from the get-go, involving procurement early in the process to ensure both the scope and pricing strategies are aligned. And only then can you achieve significant savings and optimal project outcomes. Now, let's dive deeper into the interplay between scoping and pricing. To truly understand how these levers are intertwined, we need to break down the sourcing process in three main phases: before the RFP, during the RFP process, and during the negotiation phase. So before the RFP process, the project is still an idea. It's not yet fully described in terms of deliverables and projects. This is the stage where you make critical, foundational decisions that will shape the entire project. One of the fundamental decisions you'll face is the make or buy consideration. Should you insert the solution, leverage internal resources and expertise, or should you seek external expertise through consultants? For instance, if your organization lacks the necessary expertise or bandwidth to tackle the project internally, bringing in external consultant might be the better option. This critical decision ensures that your project is set up for success from the very beginning. And at this stage, there are no consultants involved, no RFP, and no proposal yet. Just the initial idea and strategic considerations. But funny enough, this is the first step of scoping. Do I need this project as a whole? Or do I need parts of it? Should I do some parts internally? This question helps define the initial scope of the project and set the stage for the detailed scoping that will follow. So during this phase, strategies like pooling and unbundling are employed. Pooling combines related needs into a single RFP for comprehensive solutions, while bundling breaks down larger projects into smaller, more manageable parts. This flexibility offers more options and opportunity for both the client and the consulting firms. Next, we move into the RFP process, where the bulk of the project's shape and structure are defined. This is the stage where scoping really comes into play. So you'll be determining the exact nature, extent, and details of what you're seeking from the consultants. The clarity you achieve here directly influences the quality and the relevance of the proposal you receive. The RFP process starts with writing the RFP, inviting suppliers to bid, evaluating the proposal, and selecting the winner. This traditional sourcing process is crucial because it doesn't just involve scoping, but also deciding which consulting firms you want to work with. So you define your detailed requirements and create relevant competition among consulting firms. Because when multiple firms vie for the project, they are more likely to sharpen their proposal and offer competitive pricing. And this sets a strong foundation for the negotiation phase. Most of the decisions will impact the price bracket in which you're going to negotiate. So it's all about creating a competitive environment that ensures you to get the best proposals, both in terms of quality and cost. And finally, we enter the negotiation phase, where decisions become more nuanced. This phase involves negotiating both the scope of work, the terms and conditions, and the other provisions. While price is a significant factor, scope here is more holistic. The approach in starting level ensures that the proposed team and methodology align well with your project needs. This phase also involves delving into creative fee structures, allowing room for innovating payment terms linked to performance, results, or any other metrics. Additionally, the negotiation phase addresses rebates and discounts, to ensure that the final agreed price is not only competitive, but also offers value. For instance, negotiating volume rebates for longer engagement can lead to significant cost savings. So through these phases, you can see the fluid movement between scoping decisions and price negotiation tactics. They don't operate in isolations. Decisions in one phase often echo in the next. For example, a well-scoped RFP might result in more competitive proposals, influencing the negotiation phase. And conversely, anticipating a particular negotiation strategy might influence the RFP structure. So to really make the most of scoping and pricing levers, you need a solid strategy. And how do you do that? Let's chat about some key principles. So first up, let's talk about scoping. You absolutely need a well-defined scope for every project. Think of it like building a house. You wouldn't start without blueprints, right? If you don't clearly understand what your project's objective, what you need, and what you want to achieve, you're setting yourself up for a mess. So spend some quality time early on to nail down the scope. Get everyone together for workshops, brainstorming session, or consult with experts. This initial investment can save you a ton of headaches later. So a clear scope helps prevent score creep. You know, when a project starts to grow and grow, leading to budget overruns and delays. Now, let's talk about getting everyone on the same page. From senior executive to project managers, all key players need to share the same vision. And if different people have different goals, it's going to cause chaos and mixed signals for the consulting firms. So organize sessions where everyone can speak up, raise concern, and agree on a unified vision for the project. These meetings help clarify roles, set expectations, and keep everyone in harmony throughout the project. Regular checking can also catch potential conflicts early. Next, you need to agree on your targets, what you want to achieve. That's the scope. And how much you're willing to spend, that's the price. If there's no consensus here, you risk score creep, budget overruns, and miscommunication. So you can use data and market benchmark to set realistic and informed targets. And make sure everyone understands why these targets are set the way they are. These understandings makes negotiations with consulting firms smoother. Market benchmarks give you a reference point for what's acceptable, making pricing discussions easier. And finally, keep the lines of communication open between the procurement team and the internal stakeholders. This is crucial to ensure any changing in scope, in budget, project parameters are promptly communicating and addressed, minimizing surprises. Then you need to have regular checking meetings between procurement and stakeholders. This is really a must. And use these sessions not just for updates, but also for brainstorming, problem solving, and refining your approach as the project progresses. Real-time feedback and adjustments based on your evolving requirements are key. Now, navigating the process of sourcing consulting services isn't just about understanding the tools and levers at your disposal. It's about knowing when to use them. So when should you focus on scope and when on price? Let's break it down with some key principles. First up, before you even start sourcing, you need to decide whether to execute the project internally, or bringing external consultant back. We've talked about it before, but this decision hinges on your internal capability, the expertise, the bandwidth, the cost complications, and the strategic importance of the project. Think of it as the initial scoping stage. Yes, costs is involved here, but it's more about budgeting than negotiating price. Once you've decided to buy, the next step is to define the scope of work meticulously. And this means outlining the breadth and the depth of the project, the specific objective, the the desired outcomes, the key deliverables, and any other relevant details. A clear and comprehensive scope at this stage prevents misunderstandings and the need for renegotiations later. So this is primarily a scope phase. Unless you're working with a tight budget, well, you need to consider price as a bit. But again, more for a budgeting perspective than an actual price negotiation. So with a well-defined scope in hand, you're now focused on determining the best approach to executing the project and negotiating the price. This phase involves discussing about the staffing, the methodologies, the timeline, and of course, the cost. And here's where you leverage pricing levers like competition, creative fee structures, rebates, and discounts to get a favorable outcome. For instance, you might negotiate a performance-based fee structure where consultants are incentivized to deliver exceptional results. This aligns their interests with yours and ensures you get the best value for your investment. But here's the kicker. This isn't just a price phase. Many procurement leaders think it is, but that's where value can be lost. The secret sauce is to work on both scope and price together at this stage. After negotiations, you assess the combined scope and purpose price to decide the next step. You have two options. That's pretty straightforward. First option, all your stakeholders are happy with the scope and the negotiated price. You move forward with the consulting firm. It's a go. Right? Second option, there are some reservations about the scope or the price or both, and it's back to a drawing board. That's your no-go. And this might involve revisiting the scope, further price negotiations, or even re-engaging different consulting firms. And this cyclical process might require several iterations, especially for complex projects. It's essential to remain patient and persistent, ensuring that the final decision aligns with your organization's best interest in terms of scope and budget. And remember, the goal is not just to secure the best price, but to ensure the engagement delivers value and meets the intended objective, when solving a broader problem. And when you're experienced, you can manage this whole process in 2 or 3 weeks, from the beginning of the RFP process to the end of negotiation. That is, if both legal teams cooperate. We all know they can be a bit, let's say, complicated, right? So this work we've discussed is incredibly efficient. It has enabled us to help our clients negotiate 30 to 40% savings on project, even with large consulting firm. And the best part, there is no conflict with the consultants. In fact, the process is collaborative and interactive, involving short sequences of scoping and pricing negotiation. The key is to view the process as an ongoing dialogue rather than a one-time event. If you start with a clear scope and a defined budget, the back and forth can be limited. The sense of these negotiations lie in their collaborative nature. The beauty is in working with the consultant, not against them. So remember, negotiating against a consultant implies a lack of trust. And if you don't trust them, why work with them in the first place? Now, before I let you go, I'd like to leave you with a few resources. You can check out our insight titled Efficiently Negotiating Consulting Agreement, 3 key areas to focus on. So in this insight, we give you the secrets to successful consulting agreement negotiation that can make or break your deals. So next, I'd like you to have a look at our insight titled 6 Key Reasons an RFP for Consulting is Absolutely Indispensable. So in this piece, I just explained why writing an RFP for a project, even if you don't have a bid attached to that, is some sort of a no-brainer, necessary step in your process. And last but not least, my final resource that I'd like to share with you all is titled Nailing the Scope of a Project in Consulting, 7 Kick-Ass Tips. So in this insight, I give you some essential strategy to really define and manage the scope of your project in consulting. So that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for the latest episodes and updates. I'm always keen to hear your feedback, so reach out on LinkedIn or via email at acl@consultingquest.com. If there are any topics you'd like to hear about in a future episode or any questions you may have, let me know. I'm always in for a chat. Until next time, stay safe and keep the smart consulting sourcing game. Au revoir for now and happy sourcing.
Thank you for tuning in to Smart Consulting Sourcing, your ultimate guide to mastering the art of utilizing, buying, and managing consulting. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe or leave a review. And if you need more, just connect with us for a free consultation. Let's continue the Smart Consulting Sourcing game together. And before you go, happy sourcing.